Hello, teachers, and welcome to part 2 of our Realize the Dream Community Service series. Today, we're going to look at the first few pages of our Community Service Campaign Guide. While we don't recommend using the worksheets from the campaign guide with students in grades K through 3, depending on the abilities of your students, there are still a lot of amazing service project ideas to help give your K through 3 students inspiration. You can also use the campaign guide PowerPoints with K through 3 students so that you can discuss the questions as a class rather than having students write their answers on worksheets. Before step 1 in the campaign guide, there are pages that are helpful to you as a teacher. You'll see it has information about Realize the Dream to help you and your students understand the movement and its goals, and how to participate in Realize the Dream, as well as suggestions on ways to take action by grade level and suggested curriculum connections, learning goals, and skills that your students can develop through this process. But what we're really going to focus on today is step 1, which we call Investigate and Learn. All of our Education Plus service resources follow a learning process called service learning. The difference between service learning and service by itself is that instead of just volunteering, students learn about the issue first. This makes the experience more meaningful for students because they get a thorough learning experience about the issue, such as why the issue exists, the impact the issue has on their community, and it makes it a real-world issue for them that they can feel connected to. Think of the difference between volunteering and service learning like the difference between watering a garden and planting one. Volunteering is like watering a garden that's already been planted. You help by contributing to a cause or project that's already established, often for a short time, without necessarily gaining new knowledge or skills for yourself. It's primarily about helping the community, and it's usually a one-way street. You are giving your time and effort. Service learning, on the other hand, is like planting a garden. It's an interactive process where you're both giving and receiving. You're involved in the planning, learning, and reflecting, and you gain insights and skills along the way. Service learning includes a structured educational component where you learn through the experience of addressing a real community need, creating a two-way street of benefits for both you and for the community. Investigate and Learn can be done using our lesson packages as well as step 1 of our campaign guide. In step 1 of the campaign guide, your students will find a bunch of service project ideas by different issue topics such as DEI, mental health, and food insecurity. Reviewing these can help your students find ideas that may spark their interest or get them thinking. Then, as a class, in groups, or even individually, your students can complete the worksheet questions for step 1 to help them focus on issues they care about and how they can help. Realize the Dream is not only about volunteer hours, but also hours your students learn about these issues, as learning is not only service to our community, but also to ourselves. So please dedicate any time your students spend on step 1 towards Realize the Dream. No matter what issue you land on as a class, we encourage you to challenge your students to learn more about any issues they care about, and that any issue they choose to take on their own can also go towards the 100 million hours of Realize the Dream. All they have to do is log your hours, and it's really easy to do. Let's take a look. You can find the Realize the Dream Hours Tracker through the Education Plus website on the Realize the Dream page. First, it's going to ask you to sign up with a quick and easy and always free Realize the Dream account. Once you're in, you're going to follow the easy steps to log the service hours for your students. And just so you know, this can be done at the end of your service project, and you can have your students keep track of their service hours for you, and then you can submit it for your class as a whole at the end of your project. Next, you're going to enter in the amount of hours that your class completed as a whole. Now, these are going to be how many hours each student completed multiplied by the number of students that you have. So, for example, if you had your students do 2 hours of service and you have 30 students in your class, that would be 2 times 30, which would give you a total of 60 hours of service for your class. So, you just put the tracker up to those 60 hours. And for the number of participants, I would put in 30 of my students. Then I would input when we did this service. So if you're doing this for your Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service project, you would click January 2025 and click Next. Here, you would let us know the topic that your students addressed through their service. And if it's none of these listed, you would click Other. And then you would just click Submit Hours. Finally, on this last page, if you would like to share your story with us, we always love to hear these good news stories. So you would just upload any images that you took during your service project, or you can even link to a video you created. And then down here, you would give us a summary of your service project. And that's about it for step one, which was investigate and learn. Please join us for the next video in this series where we're going to talk about the action planning step of service learning. We'll see you there.